Hi, I'm Tally and I just finished Resident Evil 4 Remake, and of course my first question is, can you beat Resident Evil 4 Remake with only pistols? The rules are as follows: I can't use guns that aren't pistols, I can't use hand grenades, flashbangs are okay, melee and knife is absolutely fine, if not necessary. And we start on a fresh save file. Let's dive in. We start off pretty chilled by kicking a man into a wall so hard that he breaks his neck. So you might be thinking, well then, it's impossible because the first dude didn't go down to the pistola. Not only are you wrong, you're ugly too. Because he comes back with a vengeance. And then he goes down to the pistol, so we're all legit so far. Next on the long list of atrocities I'll be committing in this video, I decide to head to a small town who are doing their own version of Burning Man. However, I wasn't invited, so they promptly try and throw me out. Wait a minute, is that a chainsaw? So I did the only smart thing, I grabbed a shotgun and put it in my back pocket because that's against the rules. And then I ran. I ran around town, quite frankly getting beaten within an inch of my life since the AI in this game isn't actually that bad. Now, I managed to avoid my lifelong nemesis, not that one, the chainsaw guy, and I'm sure I won't have any more hassle with him today. Now that everyone's off to bingo, I do a little exploring and I promptly get jump scared by all the demons hiding in my closet. Die, demon. Next on my tour of Chaos Carnage and another word that starts with C, I hit up the petting zoo in hopes that I can see an alpaca. Unfortunately, all I see is pigs, cows and a fucking minotaur. It's okay though, he's not really that big a deal. Following that, I get stuck in a bear trap, hit with all sorts of shenanigans, and a large man swiftly knocks me out and steals my stuff. Thankfully, I left melee attacks legal in the rules. I'm glad I did that. Now, I've played plenty of Assassin's Creed in my life, so the bozos are no mozo. And it's time to meet my new and improved Loverboy Merchant Mark II. I pick up the Punisher, because I feel like having a range of pistols should be useful, and to be honest, there's only like 4 in the game that I can get my hands on, so I might as well have it handy. My only upset with this Merchant though, is that it doesn't fill my gun when I upgrade it, which used to be my favourite part of the run. Okay, it wasn't, but I'd like to have some ammo on demand every now and then. That was actually quite a useful thing. And speaking of Punishers and punishment, I tried to zoom through the canyon with less than stellar results. Second attempt went fine though, since I wasn't a silly bugger. I definitely did feel like one though, and to prove that I'm just a silly little guy, I go back to being a stealthy lad only to be immediately discovered, and I got to silence the witnesses. Now, thankfully that's over, and I'm faced with my worst nightmare, my arch nemesis. Not you, nemesis. I meant the doctor over here. Thankfully, it's a one-on-one, and now I've been stabbed in the fucking back. I can't say I'm shocked, but I will say that it made me sad. In order to cheer myself up, I decide to break into someone's house, claim the toilet through means of violence, and as karma is the swiftest gal in town, the large cheesy man ruins my day again. Twice in one day, cannot believe it. Since he's gone, I'm going to head back to town and try out this nice key that I found. Looks like I've got to find another way around though. Now, the game gives me some good news and some bad news. The good news? Dogs. The bad news? Dogs. So to cheer myself up, I kick a lady into a trip mine because you can't tell me that that didn't look cool. And once I find the church, I also find that the door is very, very, very firmly locked. As you'll know though, that's never stopped me before, so I head down to the lake because it's that time of the run. Okay, I had to do that, right? It's not a real video without it. As penance for it though, it's time for my worst nightmare. Now, again, you might be thinking that this disqualifies the run since I'm not using a pistol here. You'd normally be right, but as harpoons are in fact considered the pistols of the sea, I'm in the clear. If you disagree, not only are you wrong, but your mum's ugly too. No, my mum. Now, with a large salamander done and dusted, it's time to slow down while I visit Chicken Island and get some head and just chit-chat. Resident Evil 4 Remake's pretty sick, right? Anyway, chit-chat over. Now it's time to take care of the lummox. And I was a little bit worried, because generally in the remakes the enemies and bosses are a little tankier and a little tougher. And I wasn't loving the idea of the run dying to the first real boss. Thankfully though, my little dog buddy came down to show me some love and inspire me to hack, slice and shoot my way to victory. Just like any good American. And with that all said and done, I finally get to meet Remake Ashley. You get the gear. And you'll be glad to know that I won't be mercilessly making fun of her like I normally would, because this Ashley isn't a total burden. Okay, maybe I did speak a little soon, but I'll still be nice to her anyway. The next huge obstacle is the village siege, and I mean it, while Luis is generally very helpful, there's a lot of enemies and not a lot of room. One thing the pistol doesn't do super well is crowd control. Now, it's not impossible since you can pop someone in the noggin and kicking them is a pretty good way to control a lot of situations. But this place is pretty tight and there's a ton of options to mess your day up, like another Minotaur. He's actually quite useful though, since he does the tornado attack and that can actually take out enemies for me. And with that, the village siege is done and the village section is almost over. Thank God, because I don't think I could handle another fucking Minotaur. Are you kidding me? Where do these things keep coming from? Now, the game really does try to make it up to me though. I was promised a threesome with sisters of all things, and my life is immediately made worse. They didn't tell me that it was the Bella sisters, who are in fact not Bella. I don't mind this fight though, it's not exactly super difficult, and before I came here I opened up a bunch of doors so I wasn't feeling so claustrophobic. Really, they're not fun before a boss since they can be kinda spongy, but it only really took me 2 attempts, and that's because it turns out if you kick an enemy at where Ashley is hiding, the locker breaks. Otherwise, it's pretty cool to see how useful Ashley can be. Mother of Christ, I swear to God. Anyway, made it out of there, and now it's time to grill me a cheese. Now, before we dive into this section, I do have to say, I am contractually obligated to tell you to like the video, subscribe, and tell all your friends, because I just crave the external validation. Anyway, I actually think the big cheese is actually a pretty fun fight. Took me a couple of attempts because I was being a silly bugger, but I really came in here with no worries that I couldn't win, and that's rare. Would I have to be careful? Sure. Would I have to manage my ammo and take it easy? Of course. But one thing I would not do is fail. Really though, it just feels kinda nice to be able to say that so far on the run I haven't cried myself to sleep yet. Really feeling it so far. Maybe the castle's gonna be the thing that ruins my day though. Yeah, pretty much immediately the game is out for blood. At one point I'm sure I heard it say, "Fuck you, Tally." Honestly, I felt it. And it hurt. How, you ask? Well, look at this. And this. And oddly enough, the answer to, what if Frieza from Dragon Ball Z was a person? Then it hits me with a little ballroom blitz. Good thing I'm in my dancey clothes. This fight wasn't fun, but I got there in the end. Or so I thought. Until I heard something behind me. And it was this little guy. Standing like he's at the lost and found counter of a supermarket.
Could somebody come pick up their child? I repeat, could somebody come pick up their child?
And to cap all that off, the game hits me with a Garrador, which, in my opinion, is easier this time around. He just seems dumber, and I'll be honest, I'm used to the old Resident Evil 4 guy. He would come running at me if I so much as pissed myself too loudly, and I often did that. Surely that's the worst thing that could happen though. Surely that's the end boss of the chapter. Well, I've played the game, and you've played the game, so we all know that I'm stalling, so let's get to... The water room, much like Karma herself, visits me for all the puppy kicking I did in a past life. And it comes back and punishes me for thinking that the Garrador was a bit easy. Because this caused me a lot of genuine pain, like I wanted to cry at one point. Actually, writing this and reading the script is causing me nothing but Vietnam tier levels of unhappy flashbacks. Now, I'm not sure how much longer I can keep beating this dead horse of a joke, but thankfully the script tells me that I'm just about done with this section, which honestly is a joy to hear, and now Ashley's stabbing me in the hand. Damn, that's just out of pocket. Now, here's me hoping that the game would let up a little, cut me a little bit of slack, but right off the bat, we have this red dude and his weird fetish tentacles to give me a hard time. Thankfully, they all have the same weakness as just about everyone else I've met so far. Bullets. Then we have H.R. Geiger's wettest dream, and I do enact a little bit of revenge by interrupting Salazar's little speech. And then he gets revenge back by dropping me into a maze with Spider-Man over here, and there's 2 goons, MJ and Ned. So with that, I just lose it, and I get a little stabby. No wait, nope, that's because ammo's getting low. Speaking of ammo though, Lummox is back, and I don't think I have anything big enough to deal with him, so I do a little exploring, play some pranks on people, and eventually I come across a cannon. Now, you might think that this invalidates the run, but I'm gonna spoil it. Bozo here ain't dead yet. Because after I take out my arch nemesis, I swear to God I meant the door, I get attacked by the lump who's trying to avenge his dear friend. a door. At this point, gravity takes him, and that's really just out of my control, you know? Though the game makes up for it because this normally touching moment of Ashley being vulnerable just looks like an early 2014 Facebook goth music video. Now back to the pain, we have the infamous dog maze, which honestly I kinda like in this game. It's cooler, the dogs are pretty manageable here, and I did have some minor worries about everything, but thankfully it all worked out. Except for this dog who can't keep his red rocket away. I was very worried about that, and it went exactly as I thought it would. And even when the monks came in to steal Ashley, everything was pretty swell there. Next, I had a moment of pure elation, since at this point in the game I was wondering if it was going to be possible with such weak pistols. Then the merchant made my day by being able to upgrade them to go even further beyond. Now, at this point there is a couple rooms to clear. I forgot to record the dinner one, but that's dinner. And then I said nighty night to some nighty nights. You'd expect this fight to be rougher than it was, but I'll be honest, they're kind of pushovers and Ashley's actually pretty useful here, so yeah, it was pretty easy. Pretty happy with that. Next, I tried a speedrunning trick I saw one time and decided to just not do this room. By stunning the dude who normally pulls the lever, he doesn't pull the lever. And the bozos that try to interrupt me leaving were kind of annoying, but I made it. And these shield guys really are showing the value of the Punisher for the run. I'm sure someone will comment that it's not the most efficient way to play, but I'm not about efficient. I'm just all about being a silly little guy. Speaking of silly little guy, Leon gets all silly and gets stuck inside a giant cage, so now it's time to do Ashley. No wait, I meant the Ashley section of the game. Now Ashley's section's a cakewalk. Once you've done it once, you've done it 1,000 times, so let's just get back to Leon. And Ashley's been kidnapped again, so it's time to get serious. At this point, it's time to go on a bit of a bug hunt. I worried that these little guys could cause some problems, but to be honest, I just wasn't picking my shots very well. So as usual, once the ammo worries came out, I started to get a little stabby. And you know who else was getting a little stabby? The goddamn Chuckle Brothers in here. I don't know what it is, man, but this took me like 3 attempts. Maybe it is my aim. Maybe I just get anxious trying to juggle so much at once. But what I do know is, I eventually just took it real slow and let these Wolverine-looking menaces handle a lot of the bad guys. I knew that if I could turn this into a 2v1, even with those odds I'd have a good time, and that's exactly what happened. These idiots beat up all of their friends for me, and once they were all alone, I split them apart and I took them out. I'd have loved a shotgun here, but you know, it's not the shotguns and pistols challenge, it's the pistol-only challenge. Okay, the next part isn't that exciting, there's some bugs, but by now I'm a goddamn certified pest controller. But there is one bug that I do not love, and that is Verdugo. Anyone who's familiar with the game will know that this lad can't really be hurt unless you throw a huge amount of firepower at him while he's on ice. And really, here's what I'd like to do. But that's against the rules, so here's what I had to do. I ran. I'm pretty sure the boss is still on a timer that lets you just avoid fighting it altogether, so I ran, and I hid. And I ran, and I hid. And I found some ammo, which was quite cool. And then I hit the elevator and left. I guess he's just kinda stuck down there forever now. The next hurdle we're dealing with is the mines, where other than a small skirmish, I had 0 issues whatsoever. None at all. Couldn't think of a single one. I didn't know that would happen. Now, you might remember Lummox from earlier. He wanted to avenge the door. Yeah, he's back, and he has a new friend, and they are determined to beat me up for what I did to that poor door. However, they didn't realise that by giving me all this time to grow in power, that they would be nothing but fodder for me. Which is surprising, since every time I did this boss fight in OG RE4, I hated it in every single challenge I did. Also, in full transparency, I tried to use the lava pit, but I kept getting the timing wrong. Again, I'm not exactly efficient, just a silly little guy, it's my first day on the job. However, I do end up taking both of them down, and while I used some more pistol ammo than I really would have loved to, I'm pretty happy with how the fight went, and having Lewis here was great, since he does a good job at distracting, and that makes my life like 10% easier. I'm really glad Lewis is my friend here. So as best friends, we decide to hit up a roller coaster together, which again is like so much better than the original. I don't love this section, and I guarantee I will grow to dislike it over time, but right now, it's great. Infinite ammo pistol, the best time of my life. Honestly, fits the challenge perfectly. And speaking of the best time of my life, This has been the best day of my life with my new best friend, and mother of God, he's dead again.
Reposo.
So Krauser shows up to end the bromance out of jealousy, so I do the only thing that a Glaswegian man does when affronted. I stabbed him. A lot. Which seemed to work like an absolute charm. And now that I've been left alone with nothing but my thoughts, they swiftly turn to revenge. I'm going to beat Krauser, I'm going to beat Salazar, and I'm going to beat that creepy ass guy who keeps invading my brain. So I head up the clock tower, making my way through hordes of bad guys, taking a ball or two to the face, and I'll be real, I was kind of worried about the lift since last time it caused me some issues, but they just made it so damn easy. Like, even the two red guys went down faster than your mum, and before I knew it, the lift was done and dusted. Then I forgot that running here gets you quick death. That one's on me. And speaking of quick death, it's time to see Salazar. Unfortunately, we just missed Ashley, but she's actually not part of the revenge plan at all. At this point, rescuing her's kind of circumstantial. It just kind of lines up with the whole revenge plot line. Again, I don't know if it's a me thing, but I find it a little hard to hit this dude unless he's completely still, which usually means he's blasting me in the ass, Saiyan Saga style. Being realistic though, this fight was just another test of patience. You can most definitely beat this dude's ass. Wait. What happens if Plaga Salazar needs to go to the toilet? Like, surely he's still got a stomach, and whatever he puts in that belly has to go somewhere, right? This opens up a list of questions that I'm not really ready for. Like, what happens if one of the Type 1 or Type 2 Plagas, so like the people with the wigglies in their head, what if they have to go use the toilet? Like, they don't have a head, but I'm assuming everything else works. Anyway, Salazar's dead and I'm happier for it. I won't be happy for long though, because I've been dreading the island all run. And now, we're a fly's ball head away, so we might as well get it over with. So, the island overall is like greatly improved, but it has some really bad changes. Here's the first one. These turrets are a pain in my arse, I tell you. Thankfully, I learned a way to take advantage of both of them and the lack of brain wrinkles that this biker boar has. If he steps forward to attack you, like he just did here, you can use him as a big meat shield. Next, I get real sneaky, I break into the building that they're holding Ashley in, and I proceed to cause a little bit of chaos and start some fights. And look, the Burning Man from the start of the game is back. After that amusing moment, I have the most unamusing moment of my life, the regenerated area.
Hello, motherfucker.
I won't lie, this scares the piss out of me on a normal run, so it extra scares the piss out of me when I only have pistols. I will be doing my absolute best to just not engage if I don't have to. And in the freezy room, where you upgrade the keycard, I thought I needed to, and it did nothing. And this was the whole reason that I brought the Punisher here in the first place. It's literally like flicking him in the ear. All I'm doing is upsetting him. Anyway, I did free myself, but now I'm running from not one, but two regenerators, and they want to devour my asshole. So I pissed myself and went to sleep. I came back the next day and managed to get back on track though, and got into the big room with the crank thief. Now, I learned which regenerator I had to kill, but what I didn't know was how I was going to kill it. We just watched the Punisher do just about nothing. So I tried a few different attempts, a few different strategies, and nothing worked. Just straight up nothing worked. But that was great. So I get frustrated, and we know what happens when I get frustrated. I got awfully stabby. And that actually worked. That was great. Exploded. I'm cool with it. And then the ambush takes place while I update the key, which I thought would be fine, like I expected all of these guys. Then I seen the dynamite. That was not fine. Especially because it woke up a regenerator that I just didn't plan for. And like the first one was bad enough, this one I just could not be bothered dealing with. Thankfully, the magic of moving to the next area kept me totally safe. Then Leon makes the awful realization that Ashley is a G-O-F-F goth. It's times like these when I'm glad Leon carries the goth vaccine around with him. Moving into chapter 14, I decided to sell the Blacktail and use that cash to fully upgrade the Red 9. At no point when I ever used the Blacktail did I ever really feel like I was using the best pistol. So the first thing I do is test it out on a few soldier granados outside, and I got to say, it feels noticeably stronger than it did a few minutes ago. Now, you might remember, I am terrified of regenerators, so I'll be exclusively running from them now. This leads me into the bridge room where I do my best to get back to Ashley quickly, but all that ends up happening is a domer in the head with the red 9. So on the second attempt I did a much better job of protecting her, and we dropped the regenerator into the abyss. Before I make it to the coolest part of the chapter, I noticed this odd occurrence. Not really got much to say, it's just kinda weird. Next, we make it to the wrecking ball section, which is so funny, like I love it. Like, how does Ashley know how to do this? She says something about driver's ed, but like my driving instructor never taught me this, and she's the best driving instructor ever. All I got was parallel parking, and I'm not even good at that. Anyway, I guess I should talk about the game. It was fine, like it's just a bit of mobbing, and by this point that's really not very threatening anymore. The red 9, 2 to 3 shots most people, so I just don't feel like there's anyone that can handle much of that. So this whole section is a bit of a cakewalk. I do take some damage of course, but if I wasn't getting ragdolled by the whole platoon, it just wouldn't be me, you know? Wait a minute, does that sound weird? Anyway, that's over and done with, it's time to lose Ashley again, so I take out my frustration on some lads on the top of a hill, and then get to the sickest boss fight in the game. And if you think otherwise, not only are you dumb, not only is your mum ugly, but your dad's a ball bag. Speaking of ball bags, Krauser comes in 3 stages. Stage number 1, it kind of smacks me about a little, but I get the hang of it eventually, taking him on with a pistol to wrap up this phase. Phase 2, I just use and abuse this man. Like, I start off strong by knocking him down from the ledge and just getting in about him, really all up inside that man. And that takes us to stage 3. Stage 3 is my favourite because there's a load of action, and again I mainly use the knife here, but how could I not? It's just simply iconic. I do take a few pop shots at him here and there, really just to drive home it is the, you know, pistol only challenge, but melee is allowed. And I had a lot of fun. In my very first playthrough, like he kicked my ass, I was here for like half an hour. This time, I had my foot so far in his ass, I felt like I was wearing him like a shoe. And much like a shoe, he was pretty uncomfy until I broke him in. And now we're into chapter 15, the end is literally in sight. So Leon and my new best friend Mike carve our way through hordes upon hordes of ganados. And honestly, nothing can stop me. I am an absolute machine at this point. An unstoppable, immovable machine. Okay, yeah, I let the guys gang up on me a little, but that's because I'm so unstoppable that even that does nothing but slow me down a little. Poor Mike gets a bad case of bedbugs and has to go home, and I learned that you can just sneak past the regenerators in this room. Best day of my life. And all that's left is to make my way through the last horde of soldiers, disable the lasers, and find Ashley. From here, we cure Ashley of her crippling goth syndrome. And the very last thing on my to-do list happens to be kill Sadler. Now, I'll be real, I bought back the Blacktail because I thought that, I don't know, 9 bullets of max damage could help in some way, shape or form. And I'm not sure if that's the smartest decision I ever made, you know, it's just an extra few shots. But I didn't really have much else to spend my money on, so I guess it's not that big a deal. Now, speaking of not a big deal, Sadler as a boss fight is almost the same as original Resident Evil 4, but the map is cooler this time. Overall, I did take a scalping, but I always take a scalping. I always get absolutely leathered. But I'm not going to use that to call this boss hard. It's incredibly mid. All you need to do is persevere and chip away. The fight isn't hard, it's just long. And after 5 minutes, I knew I was nearly done. And near to completion I was. After a few more gouged eyes and some sharp shooting, we got to the final stage, where I can't remember if shooting him does anything or he's on a timer, but Ada froze the rocket launcher all the same. Now, you might disqualify this. And that's okay, because I think it is actually possible to kill Sadler without the rocket, but I didn't know that if I picked it up, I'd not be able to put it away. I think it's all about the journey though, and the journey here was a bit of a blast. Hey, get it? Blast. Because like, rocket launcher, and it blasts. Anyway, I think I got enough of the game done with a pistol that I count it. I'm not doing that boss fight again. It's long and boring. Anyway, let's take it to the outro. So I might not have given this impression, but the run was actually really fun. I didn't feel really stressed out at all. There were some stressful sections, but by and large, I just had a good time. I feel like Resident Evil 4 Remake's going to have just as much replayability as original Resident Evil 4. I'm definitely going to be doing some other runs, and there's some other sick weapons that you can use. So look forward to that. Comment down below what you'd like to see. Shotgun, TMP, rifles, whatever. We can make it happen. Anyway, if you've made it this far in the video, I do think you certifiably have to like it. Like, you've made it to the end. Go ahead and drop a like if you haven't already. Please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to comment. It's great for engagement. It's great for the algorithm. As always, you've been amazing. I've been Tally. I will catch you all next time. Bye.